Can I get a score prediction? Spoiler alert, tell us, how's this game going to go down?
Score prediction? I don't do those. But I'm taking the US. I'm taking the US.
It's Rog, and it's World Cup Day 12. And the United States men are preparing for their date with destiny against the Netherlands. Number 8 in the world, a team led by Louis van Gaal, that great tactical mind, a gent stoically battling prostate cancer, leading his team with a real sense of their own journey. And after the delirium of the United States winning that must-win against geopolitically fraught Iran, no less, our baby Eagles are absolutely buzzing into the wide-open waters of the knockout rounds, a different tournament, a different strategy, a different mood. And it's incredible to welcome back a man who knows all of this so well firsthand, a gent who's experienced the delirium of a group stage third game glory in the Landon Donovan Algeria 2010 game. He was Bob Bradley's right-hand man on the coaching staff, a game that made our nation dizzy. But the team then fizzled in the round of 16 against Ghana, a loss that in many ways still hurts. But it's a true joy to welcome back from Racine, Wisconsin, via Leeds, Yorkshire, with no praise in this introduction because I learned my lessons. It's your manager of Leeds United, Mr. Jesse Marsch.
Good, better introduction. Just stick to the facts, Roger. Just stick to the facts. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, stick to the facts. It sounds like a courtroom procedural. But Jesse, the facts are these. We live, USA 1, Iran 0. And Jesse, top line, big picture. What do you make of the performance?
A very good first half. An incredible result to get us out of the group. An exciting display of the quality of our young players. I think really looking at it in a big picture, it was really important for us to get back in this World Cup and maybe even more important for us to emerge from the group. So really proud of the guys. Greg's done a great job. You know, it gives us a chance to build even more momentum as a U.S. soccer fan base and to look forward to a great game against the Netherlands.
How do you watch? Here's what I want to know. Are you calm? Are you cool? Are you detached like me? Or do you watch like your coach at Leeds, living the every emotion of the game?
I don't believe you're detached at all. I don't live it like a coach, but I definitely live it like a fan. You know, I've always said that I'm a fan before I'm even a coach. I love this game. I love the sport. I love watching the best teams, the best players in the world. And so I'm a big fan of U.S. soccer, and I was super excited. The weird part for me, though, in the whole thing was you're looking for these moments of jubilation, of inspiration. And when Christian scores a huge goal, but then is injured in the moment, and even the team's not sure how to celebrate and they're concerned about his health, it took away a little bit from the excitement of the moment. But nonetheless, really, really happy for those guys and excited to look forward to the next match.
You talked on the last episode about how important that first goal would be in this game. And 38th minute, thank God it was American. Pulisic finishing, paying the iron price along the way. And we can talk about the finish in a moment. But the whole move was a kinetic move of wonder, starting with Matt Turner, playing the ball deftly to break up pressure, moving the ball upfield, and doing the opponent in a complex way with movement, combinations, passing. What did you see when you watched it?
Well, I'm a big fan of the use of the diagonal chip against a deep opponent. Is when they want to make things compact, and certainly when you're looking to attack down one side or the other, a way to unlock them is to try this chip ball to your outside back or to a wide player that's attacking what we call the half lane. So that's the lane in between the edge of the 18 and the 6-yard box. We call that our half lane. And then you attack it with a driven aerial ball in that space, and you're sprinting. But the key is actually not the connection between McKennie and Dest. The key is that there are players that are recognizing in the box that the next action is the one that's going to be the goal, and that are sprinting to get into a dangerous position. And that's exactly what Christian Pulisic did. And that's why the tactic can be really, really useful. So we try to incorporate that a lot, and I think it was a really good action from the US.
The header from Dest, delicious. The finish, so brave. When you were playing, did you play with any American men's player who had the skills and the mentality that Pulisic does?
Well, yes. Dempsey and Landon come to mind immediately. And they were different players in different ways. Clint was probably the bravest player that I've seen. I mean, he always wanted to be in difficult situations and in difficult spots. So that's what made him unique. His personality is obviously unique. I get the US feed here, so I also watched Clint on the broadcast, which I find so entertaining because he's got such a personality. He's not your typical color analyst. And then Landon, in terms of attacking wise, his ability to smell out where the dangerous spots were going to be and to put him in those places, and then for him to finish off plays, he was very unique that way. So I didn't play with those guys too much. I coached them a little bit, but I was, an opponent against them often and trying to figure out ways to limit them. My way was often just to kick them, to slow them down in some way, shape, or form. But I think two guys that were really special attacking players.
Coach, I got an idea about how we can stop them. I'm going to kick them. We're going to touch upon Gio Reyna for a second. 7 minutes so far in the course of the 3 World Cup games. You said on the last episode, Brendan Aronson, he'll understand that he's got to wait and wait patiently for minutes. Is that the same story for Gio?
I don't know Gio well enough. Obviously, I think this has not been an easy situation to manage for Greg or for Gio himself. I'm sure that his hopes were to be a much bigger part of the team. To be fair, when you look, obviously they've had to figure out a little bit of how to handle the striker position. But when you look at the other 5 midfielders, I think all 5 have performed at a really high level. And for me, then bringing Brendan as the first midfield sub seems to make sense given the form and fitness that he's been in over the last 4 or 5 months. For me, if you just take Gio out of the mix or even take Brendan out of the mix, it's hard to argue with the decisions that have been made for the 5 midfielders in the way that they've performed over the 3 matches.
You talk about that midfield, Moussa, McKinney, King, Tyler Adams. The French newspaper L'Equipe was gushing about them yesterday, calling them one of the best midfield trios at the tournament so far. And my question is that they have played mad minutes. And how do you gauge with your players how much gas is left in the tank? I think Tyler's run 24 miles over the 3 games. Take us through how you make that evaluation as a manager. And is it different at the World Cup than in the Premier League?
For me, 4 days is different than 3. It's more of a question when you're on a 3-day turnaround. That extra 4th day typically gives players enough time to recover, regenerate, and go again. And it's why, for me, the World Cup is a young man's tournament. And by the way, 2 of the older teams, Belgium and Denmark, have suffered in the tournament because it's not so easy to turn around in a 3-game series. So the US being young, I think, will be a benefit.
Young man's tournament and Tim Ream's tournament. And there is another team on the field. The Dutch have played 3, won 2. 23-year-old Cody Gakpo of PSV is having a sensational tournament. 3 goals in 3 games, scored with his head, his left, his right. We talked about him in the last episode. He's on a 1-man scoring mission to jack up his price. And you've experienced the game in many countries. You've got 2 Dutch players at Leeds right now, the magical Somerville and Struijk. What can you tell us about what you know about the distinctive way Dutch players see their football and what you see when you watch this team play?
First, it's difficult for us at Leeds because I think Gakpo's gotten out of our price range. I mean, we were so close to securing a transfer for him in summer. I mean, it was like, was so close. And now obviously it's disappointing for us. We kind
How
of.
close?
How
close?
Our sport director was in Holland and was meeting with the family, had agreed on terms on everything, was talking with PSV. I mean, we were 99.9%. So I felt bad for Victor Orta and all the effort that he put into it. And obviously it was disappointing for us, but I'm also, I talked to Cody in the process and I'm happy for him to have had so much success here at the World Cup. And I think show everybody how good he is. So obviously they're a football power. Players like Van Dijk and De Jong are among the best in the world, and it'll be a big challenge for us.
Can you walk us through your approach mentally in terms of the process of putting together a process to stop an opponent, find that soft spot on a team that we can exploit?
Yeah, it's always about analyzing statistics and video for me. So I know a lot of teams use statistic, but when analyzing the opponent, we use a lot of statistics, and I'm a big believer in what their build-up phase looks like, what their last third phase looks like, how they give up chances, how they create chances, obviously then how that pertains to what they do on set pieces. What I can say is watching, I know Van Gaal's football, and I know the Dutch way of thinking about football. They're very man-oriented against the ball, so they will be man-marking almost all over the pitch. With the ball, they will also try to spread the field. They will try to create a lot of matchups in the wing positions. They will try to create a lot of passing patterns and switch balls to get players in 1v1 situations. And I think this U.S. team believes, I don't think there's any question. I think that after their performances, they believe that they can win this game. I think the Netherlands have been good, but I don't think they've been dominant. I think the Netherlands are one of these teams that have kind of had it in third or fourth gear, knowing that they want to have enough energy when it gets to the knockout group, that they have more to give and that they can push themselves and push the game even more.
What's this moment like? Because you've been inside the World Cup bubble in this kind of moment. You lived it. 2010, your American team soared against Algeria. And I do remember, Jesse, President Clinton then swaggered into the locker room for some reason with Reggie Bush and smashed some buds with the boys. And I was watching at home. And in that moment, I remember screaming at the television set, being like, no, stop. Because it looked like these players left America with no one really caring about them. And as they were smashing beers with Bill and Reggie, they suddenly knew the whole nation was looking at them. They were like high wire walkers looking down. What did you learn from that crucible, that moment, and what would you have done differently?
Well, I think, it was hard at that moment. When Bill Clinton came in with 2 12-packs of Budweiser into our halftime locker room, it was surreal. Like, first of all, he was dressed immaculately in this suit. Like, he just looked super sharp. And then he had and we're like, Bill Clinton's coming into, it was a surreal moment. Internally, it wasn't like we over celebrated. I think maybe the lads had one beer and then we moved on and got ready for dinner. And, President Obama called us later that night at dinner, and there was euphoria clearly to the way the game went and the overall feeling of getting out of the group. But the focus was also entirely on Ghana and how to prepare ourselves for the next match. Listen, one of the things that I spoke to Tyler about before the tournament started was to stay laser focused on every moment within the match. As captain, it's your job to make sure that every player understands that this goes fast, right? The tournament is a blink of an eye and it's done. And I learned that from my experience of going from Algeria to Ghana to over. And so you just have to be poised and you have to stay calm, but you have to stay laser focused on every moment and make sure that you're maximizing potential of everything that you do.
Can I get a score prediction? Spoiler alert, tell us, How's this game going to go down?
Well, before I give you a score prediction, all right, I want to say the way Tyler Adams behaved in the press conference before Iran was something of, I don't think I've ever been more proud of a player I've coached in my entire life. He is always been someone that I know has major potential as a person and even more so than as a player, as a person. And the way that he handled that, the intelligence he showed, the humility, you don't see many professional athletes behave like this in a heated situation. I mean, the whole press conference was difficult to manage, and Tyler was just absolutely phenomenal. Really, really proud. Score prediction, I don't do those. But I'm taking the US. I'm taking the US. All right. I think they're poised. I think this Dutch team has been average up to this point. And again, I think part of it is they're not in their fifth, sixth gear yet. But I think that the US can just looking at the match, I hope they're fresh enough. I hope they're strong enough. I hope Christian's ready to play. And they should feel like if they play to their strengths that they can be better than Holland on the day. I really believe that. So I'm picking the US.
Subscribe here for more Men in Blazers videos and courage.